All right. It's done. Emergence. Okay. You already see the title, but let me put this in context for you guys, because I know there's going to be people that don't get it. They're going to say, why do you do this? I'm going to say this. If you look at the show without thinking about what management did, what was going on with production, most of the show was fine. Even though there wasn't that much story behind everything that was there. In fact, there were certain things that made no sense. The closing, and I want to make this clear, the Louisville, Kentucky crowd at the last match were stupid. And I'll explain that later, but they were stupid until they finally were willing to get into the match. But I'm telling you right now, this show was a disaster. And it was not the wrestlers' fault. Not even the Kentucky crowd. You can blame them because for most of the part of the show, they were fine. But this was about management. This was about how now, when I've said so many times, production has always been the Achilles heel. The Achilles heel, not the Achilles. The Achilles heel of Impact Wrestling just showed his head. And if anybody says, dude, they've been doing so well, it don't make a damn difference. It don't. If you trying to justify it, that's you. I've been reviewing this show for years. And we've had moments where they were fine. And then we have moments where they absolutely collapse and they look like garbage. And next to someone getting hurt in the show, and I'll talk about Alicia Edwards in a minute, you look at this show and it was like, what went wrong? The wrestlers did their job perfectly fine. But when you look at production, it was just a freaking mess. It was. Okay. Kickoff. First match we got. We got Kaz versus Kushida due to the fact of the Ultimate X qualifying match. And Kaz did not win, and he decided to take out Kushida. That's what got this match. Now that Jonathan Gresham is not acting like the weird black octopus spit thing anymore, and then Kushida himself not acting like the dark evil Kushida again, which I think would have been interesting if he kept it up for a little while, we got regular Kushida. And pretty much, you go like, okay, Kushida's normal, Kaz is normal, you see Jade say that he's just the greatest king of TNA. Fine. And it was a good match. They never touched, I think, until now. They never actually faced one another. So this was a first-time match for both of them. And it was fine. In the end, Kushida lost, and I was not surprised. But now where they're going to go with Kaz. Frankie Kazarian, they got to do something with the king of TNA. I just don't know what they're doing with him. He opened the damn show. He should be doing something else. He should join the damn system. Like I said. But they don't want him to join. And I'm just saying, it feels like he should. Second match, which makes no sense. None. I'm sorry. This should never happened. Shouldn't. I'm just being honest here. Why did they put this on the kickoff show? They made such a fuss about PCO. They made such a fuss about him getting married when he shouldn't have been married, because it would have made the story better that he got his marriage stopped because of Matt Cardona. No, he gets married. Matt Cardona is still acting like Staff Delander's single, which makes no sense. And if you had a Matt Cardona continually interfere with them trying to get married, it would be better. And they didn't do that. So what do we get here? We get PCO putting up his Digital Media Championship, and he's still unrecognized. I'm saying it now, unrecognized International Heavyweight Championship. You know the reason why I keep saying that? Because if you go over to TNA's website, I looked at it before this happened to see, did they amend his titles? Because he has two titles, and they're only mentioning the Digital Media Championship one on the website. They don't say the Digital Media Champion and the International Heavyweight Champion. They don't bother to change the damn website. That shows you how they are so not great with detail. You're going to keep saying he is the International Heavyweight Champion? Show it on your damn website. It's stupid. But He goes up against, and there's no Macedonia because he's still supposedly injured. We get Muhammad Ali Shira. Let me give it to you like this. I've always liked Shira. I never had a problem with him. I saw him work in MLW one time. He was the TV champion, I believe, at one point there. And he was allowed to talk a lot more than he would on TNA or Impact, for that matter. So I think they never really gave him much. They typecasted his ass in TNA and in Impact Wrestling. He's always been typecast. That's what he's been. He's been muscle, or he's been someone who's a big guy to always be used to put someone over. This is what we got. On the kickoff show, a storyline that you made such a big fuss about. Instead of it being on Emergence, or better yet, why not just do it on a regular Impact show? You give us this here. Here. When it should mean something. Now, at one point during that match, PCO tried to do a helo outside the ring like he normally does. And he would normally land in front of the guy. But Muhammad Ali Shira was not in the right spot. He was farther away than what PCO thought. And here's Shira. Here's PCO, lands here. He's not even close. You can see where my hand is. He's not even close to him. He lands hard onto the pavement. On those mats, it's still thin. He landed hard. And after he did that, he managed to get up and do another, de-animator. He managed to do a de-animator, but he landed so hard in his shoulder, it made me nervous that he might have hurt himself. But he was alright. He managed to finish the match. Barely. I think he did hurt himself a little bit. I think he stunned himself because Muhammad Ali Shira didn't grab him. He was literally, this is where he was supposed to be, Muhammad Ali Shira. Instead of being like this, he was this far off. And then when PCO landed, you see where my hand is? That's how much of a distance it was. And I think it stunned PCO. I think he was stunned. And he was not right when he got back in the ring and managed to finish the match. Now, Staff Atlanta was the one who was holding the title. Staff Atlanta was there by him. Staff Atlanta was doing what a wife does, which she should not be his wife. Matt Cardona should have not allowed the marriage to happen. He should have stopped it before it happened. And then they could have done something later. I'm just saying. But it's just me. So, Ultimate X. I'm going to tell you this. We already know who won. We know Zachary is going to win. But I'm going to tell you my thoughts when it came to this match, when we had Zachary, we had Riley Bourne. I'm thinking about Riley Osborne, and I can see he's got great talent, but they're not doing anything with him in NXT. He's just a member of Chase U. And the weirdness thing, he should leave and join TNA. I'm being honest here. Osborne should join TNA. Because, honestly, he should be doing something more than what he's doing in Chase U. Because he's just extra there. That's just me. But we had Zach, we had Riley, we had... I kind of wish that Leon Slater was there instead of a Laredo Kid. Haunch was there. Bailey, and of course, the one that was the biggest question, how is he going to be able to handle a match like that, was Hammerstone. And I will give it to Hammerstone. He used a lot of power to try and compensate that he was not flexible and he was not agile. At one point when he was climbing that rope, he could not even lift his legs to get onto the rope. He was too big of a guy. Look, you can be cock diesel all you want, but one of the major problems that you're doing in a match that is for a high-flying style is that as much as you need strength, you need to be not very bulky. And I've said it myself. This is what I've said when it came to Hammerstone. He's a very bulky guy that's very stiff. He's not flexible. And sometimes dealing with people who have flexibility like high-flying wrestlers or technical wrestlers makes it hard for a very bulky wrestler like him to be able to do his business. He can be strong as he wants, but he does need at least a little bit of flexibility. I'm not against Hammerstone. I actually like him. Like I said in Impact yesterday. But he's very stiff. And you could see it when he took hits. Instead of being on a roll away from it, he had to take them blunt. And it looked like he might have hurt himself a bit because he could not be flexible enough to take them correctly. That's the deal. But I was not surprised. I thought two people could win. I thought Zachary Wentz or Hammerstone. I thought maybe Hammerstone might be the one that might do it. Because I did not see Speedball winning. I didn't see it. The way they were booking him, nope. And I was right. Due to the fact that No Mercy is coming in 2 days, and I will be doing my review of it, I knew if Hammerstone didn't win, Zachary would make a lot more sense to go to. Would it happen that Zachary Wentz would take the X Division title to NXT? Yeah, he can go there. He doesn't put it up for grabs, but he can go there unless they're going to actually do that. They could do that during No Mercy, that he wants to really prove that he's better. He would put his X Division championship up against Wes Lee to make it that important. I don't believe he'll do it, but that's a possibility. But I knew there was a chance he was going to win. I just did. I knew it. Next, the next match. First time, and it was a good match. Eric Young versus Steve Maclin. But like the first match and the other two matches before it, I have some images to show. There won't be the one of this particular match, because it was becoming more and more apparent that the match quality was fine, but the camera work was getting worse and worse. And it wasn't because, and I will get to what happened to one of those cameramen, because something happened to one and they just disappeared. But you could tell that was happening a lot. Sorry for overexposure. But I have to explain. I have to show you. And if you didn't see what images I had, either we started getting ass shots of guys and women, and literally close-ups that was so damn close that it made no damn sense. It was like someone said, hey, we're working with NXT now. Let's do exactly like them and do zoom-ins like crazy. But guess what? The cameraman can't zoom in fast enough. Either the equipment's not that good enough to handle it, or they're too damn incompetent to do it. And when it came to the production area, when they started noticing how the cameramen were working, they were trying to deal with it. Guess what? They couldn't even switch the camera work properly. The one who was on the hard cam was doing the same thing. And then worse, whoever was running not the overshot camera, because they have 4 cameras, 2 cameramen, the hard cam, and the overhead cam, you got the people in production who didn't know how to switch. What was that? This happened throughout the entire show. And when you see most of this match, which was okayish, I won't say it was great, because they had the same problem. It was just progressively getting worse. When it came to Kushida and Kaz, it was okay. When it came to PCO, that's when it began. When it came to Ultimate X, same thing. And then from there, it just started getting worse. Eric Young and when you see Maclin, more and more, it was harder to watch the match in the ring, because either they were zooming in so close that they couldn't get them in frame. You could not see all of the wrestling match like this. This is in frame. This is not in frame. You can't see me no more. This is what we got. And if anybody says below, why do you keep saying it? I'm going to say it. Look at the damn thing again. And tell me you don't see it. If you don't see it, I guess you need glasses. Because I'm saying it truthfully. That was a bad show because of the camera work. But we got Maclin winning the match clean. And I want to make this clear. This was a very good match between the two of them. It was. You could have built a story around them and actually closed the show with Maclin and with Eric Young. You could have done that. In fact, I would have liked to see that. I don't understand why these TNA shows are so uncared about. Understand something. WWE is doing monthly shows. Monthly. And whether you like it or not, at least they put some level of effort into them. When you see TNA with TNA Plus shows where people are paying for the app and paying YouTube to use their facilities so they can watch it, you would expect them to put more effort into it. They sold out, supposedly, Louisville. They sold it out. But guess what? All those people in Louisville had an enjoyable experience who was sitting in the damn venue. Because guess what? As I said in my comment in yesterday's TNA Impact show, they should have gone fucking live. That's what I was saying when I was talking about it's the same damn thing. They're doing too many taped shows. They need to do live now. And they could have, but they chose not to. They chose not to. And why? They got rid of the guy who was working on it. And then they didn't want to continue what he was working on. Yeah. I'm saying it to anybody who's saying, oh, here we go, Scott D'Amore. I'm not for Scott D'Amore. He already made the plans to go live. He was talking about that. They could have continued it and they chose not to. Whose fault is that? Scott, who got fired? Or the people who are running the damn thing, a guy who is working in television for 30 years, but not working wrestling? There you go. Now, let's move on to, here's where it gets scary. 6 knockout tag. Now, I would have liked to see the match of elegance instead of this. I'm being honest here. This, you could tell they were trying to cover for this. And remember, camera work was bad here too. It was bad. You had Alicia Edwards, you had Marsha Slamovich, and you have Ash Elegance versus Spitfire and Jordan Grace, which I don't understand why they have to have all 6 women there. You could have used the match of elegance here. I'm not saying what is a great match, but it was good enough to show, and I said this on the TNA review, that you don't have to like Ash, but you got to admit that she has improved. She's been willing to do dangerous matches now. Before she never did. Now she is. Look what she did. She did a damn street fight. And she did it way worse than what she would have done in WWE. She did. She's worked on her character. She's worked on her performance in the ring. She has a concierge. Guys lucky to be able to see that jiggle. I mean, you get my point. But the point is, she has worked on herself. What she said in Busted Open Radio, she was not kidding compared to Inspiration. I saw 3 videos of the Inspiration. 3 of them. 2 of them separate, and then 1 when they were both together. And they both said, we are going to change our style. And they did not. They kept the Iconics style more than anything else. It was nothing different with them. And I wasn't even against them. I wanted them to change, and they didn't. At least with Ash, she decided not to be Dana Brooke. She decided to be whatever she was developing before she left NXT. And I can say she has done a decent job of it. But in this match, that didn't help her. It didn't make a difference. Because at one point, as the match was going on, it was decided, all 3 of the faces decided they wanted to do a jump outside the ring. All the women were outside. Marsha Slamovich, Alicia Edwards, and Ash Elegance. And if I remember correctly, Alicia Edwards was in the middle of the pack. Here's Ash, here's Marsha, and Alicia, I do believe, was in the middle. When you look at what happened when Jody, and I don't blame her, this can happen. Jody Threat decided she wanted to do a Topasuda. She wanted to basically do a suicide dive out there, and she did. But Alicia took the brunt of that, and she got knocked the fuck out. She wasn't joking. Guys, she was on the floor, knocked the hell out. And when they were trying to pick her up to be able to do what was needed for, and I do believe it was when Jody Threat did it, because by the time Jody was going to go out, and they were trying to pick her up and they didn't, when Jody Threat jumped out there, and, no, sorry, not Jody Threat, Danny Luna. Sorry. Jody Threat did the suicide dive, knocked Alicia unconscious, which I think that's when it started. And then when you see Danny Luna jump out afterward, they were trying to pick her up. She was out. By the time when it was Jordan Grace to try and do it, she couldn't. She ran, but then she stopped and jumped out of the ring. And pretty much Alicia was still laid out unconscious. She couldn't move. She was done. So we had now a 2-on-3 handicap match. And the commentators were trying their best to try and make it work and try to cover for it. But it was obvious it just looked awkward. Everyone was beginning to get nervous about it. They were wondering what happened to her. They saw her being taken to the back. But people were getting worried. And the camera work did not help the match. It didn't. Yes, we got a chance to see some more cleavage from Ash of Elegance. We got a chance to see some asses of some women. Hell, they even zoomed in on Jody Threat's boobs at one time or another. But that didn't make it right. It didn't make it better. So, this was a match that was just a mess. I would have liked to see I would have wanted to see the match of elegance past this. And hopefully, Alicia wouldn't have been injured. Hopefully she's okay. You don't have to like her, but she worked 17 years in TNA. I don't want to see her hurt permanently. I hope she's alright. Now, we got... here's where this is going to get interesting. ABC versus First Class with a new member. And I believe, what was the guy's name? Rivaro? I believe his name is Rivaro. I've only seen him a couple of times, so I don't remember him offhand much. I knew he was an okay flyer, but I didn't know how good he could talk. Now, we did get a interview with AJ Francis and then Navarro. I believe his name is Kevin Navarro, I believe. Yeah, I think his name is Kevin Navarro. And he spoke very well. So, next to AJ said, for Rich, don't worry, you'll be alright. My love goes with you, man. My love goes with you. But he has a new member in First Class. And now that when you see Kevin Navarro, I believe that's his name, he was very charismatic. He was actually very good working with AJ Francis. I didn't have a problem with him that. And I'm botching it because I'm thinking, with him there, what will we really get? This is going to depend on creative, trying to compensate that Rich Swann is in rehab right now. Because if Kevin Navarro, if that's his full name, if he's going to take his place until he comes back and then joins all three of them and make it a threesome, the question is going to be, can they write for Kevin, counting how long they're going to allow him to stay there, if he even has a contract or not. Because remember, he may not even be on the contract. He might be. I don't know. I didn't check. So this is what we got. It was a decent match. Navarro did very good. But in the end, I did not expect ABC to job here. I just don't see them jobbing. To be honest, they don't have any credible threats. So having I can't really say First Class is not a bad threat. I mean, even though they were chanting, you can't wrestle to AJ Francis. I said he can wrestle. It's just a certain move should not be done because it messes with... How can I say this? I'm not against AJ. If AJ watches, which he won't, if AJ Francis saw me, and me and my old ass self with my crooked teeth, I'll say, how you doing, boy? You done well. I've never been against you. I'm not like JD. I'm not like Alex. I've always said you can wrestle. But when it comes to certain moves, which basically people buried you on, I know it would be you to say, I don't give a damn, I'm going to keep doing it. But I would recommend that you don't do it. Not because you can't do it. It's because I want to see you expand beyond that and show that you can do more. And then when the time comes, you come back to it. You didn't do that. Doing that flip over the ring rope, still, even though on and off you messed it up a little bit and done it correctly, it doesn't help your case. It still shows you're not doing anything more, and people are going to keep saying you can't wrestle. And I can see you can. You're not a bad big man, but come on, man. Come on. You know for a fact that you can wrestle, use other moves for a while, let that move be retired for a little bit, then let people know, shut the fuck up, I can wrestle, look at the other stuff I can do. You want to keep saying, I can't wrestle? Well, guess what? I can do this. I can do that. I want to see you, if you saw this. I want to see you show them you can wrestle your ass off. As a big man, you don't have to do the biggest moves. You just got to do the most effective moves. Moves that's going to make people think, okay, this guy can be dangerous. And yes, you got the nastiest choke slam I've seen in a while, but you need more. Don't do that flip over the rope move anymore. Leave it. Do something else. Do something that you practice a little bit and make sure that when it's done and it shocks everybody, stick with that for a little while, and then after a while, when it begins to get old, go back to the other one and say, I can do more. I can go back to my other one, but I also can do this. And if you can do another one, I do that too. 5 moves of doom. Remember, Hulk Hogan did it. And no matter how much people like, well, not 5, but 3 moves of doom. But let's say there are 5. Do 5. Do more. Didn't win, but it wasn't that bad. Now, let's go for the 8-man tag. The System versus Joe Henry, Mike Santana, and the Hardys. Was it cool to see the Hardys come out as the original Hardys? Yes. Was it cool for Joe Henry to be with them and all of them do like this? Oh, I forgot. I gotta keep. I ain't taking no chance. He crawls through one of these pictures right here, there. Yeah. I keep forgetting. I gotta get my. Like 3 years ago, I made a poster that I was supposed to print up. I didn't get a chance to do it because of all the craziness. I got to remember to maybe update the poster I have for myself and stick it onto a board. I know you're going to say, dude, that's a board. Yes, it's an old board. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm in a small New York apartment. I don't have the room or anything. Sorry. But anyway, was it a bad match? No, it was not. But the camera work became so bad. It was so disgusting how bad the camera work began to get really a problem. And you can say, dude, it's 8-man tag. There's no way you're going to get them all. I'm not saying you need to get them all. This is all you need to do. You don't need to do close-ups of all of them. This is it. If anyone says you can't get them all, do a wide shot. That's all they need to do. And they didn't do it. And at one point, hearing people chant, I believe in Joe Henry, was really good. And then they also chanting, I believe in Jeff Hardy, was really nice to see. Because after everything Jeff has gone through, and mind you, I hope he stays clean permanently now after what happened. And then after getting injured by Sammy Guevara, and then Sammy getting suspended of that. And then Jeff Hardy left and go now to TNA. I hope he stays injury-free, and I hope he stays clean. That's what I want. This is what I want for me. Hang on. I want to see Jeff Hardy retire. 100% retire. One more run with his brother, and then retire healthy and clean. And just open up I think they already opened up a school already. But I want to see him just train people. Not run the road and worry about drinking all the time. He can't drive anywhere. He is suspended permanently from ever driving again, guys. If you didn't know that, Jeff Hardy can never drive a car again. He has lost the right to ever drive a car. He is permanently suspended. He has a permanently suspended license. He can never drive a car legally. Maybe he can do a go-kart in a park or something. But a real car, never again in America. Unless he goes to Canada or he goes to Europe or Mexico somewhere. But in America, never again. He can own every car under the sun, but he can never drive it again unless he wants to get arrested. But I want to see him retire happy, healthy. That's me. The match was fine. The System won because, well, the System had to win. But I will tell you, it was not that bad of a show. It wasn't that bad of a match. But I really didn't care that much about it because there's nothing important about it yet. I mean, there's going to be stuff that you can stem off of it from Bound for Glory, but like what? They're going to have to do some really good booking starting this Thursday coming. They really need it. Because we're already starting September. If they don't get this sorted out on what they want to say in this October for their storylines, I don't care how many people get seats in the arenas. What you guys don't understand, you can have an arena filled with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,000 people, but still, there are people at home, me, you, who watch these pay-per-views, and we have to see what we get. And the people at the arenas will probably love it and stuff, but what about us at home? Last match. And that was a 1 hour Iron Man match. Whoever had the most falls wins. And this is where things went off the rails with TNA's production. Taking away from I was so angry at the Louisville crowd. What was the point of chanting for Mickie James? Chanting for We Got Spirits? Chanting, well, Spirit Squad. I think they were chanting Spirit Squad at one point, or Spirits. Chanting for, who else did they chant for? They were saying, well, if you look at what they were saying in the 8-man tag, they was, fuck you, the system, which was fine. It's very rare that you hear people cursing that much, but Louisville wanted to act like that. But when it came to this situation, Louisville was acting stupid. It was like they tried to hijack the damn thing. They were chanting for Joe Henry. They were chanting for Mickie James. They were chanting the Spirit, I think the Spirit Squad. They chanted You Can't Wrestle. They did also chant for Nick. They chanted for Josh. But they just kept going all over the damn place. Like they didn't give a damn. They thought the match was boring. But then the worst thing happened. At one point, I don't know what happened. One of the cameramen disappeared. The camera seemed to be working fine. And then all of a sudden, one of the cameramen went away. And before he went away, next to all the other matches beforehand, they refused. Understand, here, my hand. This is my hand. Both cameramen were at one end of the ring. And they refused to move. They stayed in one place. I don't know, next to them continually trying to zoom in the camera to make it look dramatic like WWE. I don't know what was wrong with them. They literally refused to move. And when they did move, they were always zoomed in like this. And the camera would shake. And even the hard cam. Remember, here's the ring. Overhead cam. Overhead camera. You see it coming in and out. The hard camera. 2 cameras. They kept zooming in like crazy. The hard cam started zooming in like crazy because guess what? One of the cameramen disappeared. Either the camera broke or the cameraman got sick. They weren't doing that good as it was. So whatever was going on, the hard camera had to start doing zoom-ins when it's not designed to do zoom-ins. The cameraman on the hard cam is not supposed to do multiple zoom-ins. And that's all he freaking did. On top of that, we started getting audio glitches for the commentators. This was an unmitigated disaster. It is not Josh's fault. It is not Nick's fault. It's not even everyone else who had their matches. Hell, Gia Miller did a great job in the back, and she's a gorgeous woman. But this was about production. Production failed this show. I don't care you say, well, they have weeks upon months of great shows. Don't matter. What have you done for me lately? All that time since they changed, they did the transition. They never updated their equipment or updated their personnel. The cameramen are still the same cameramen. I don't know what happened. I don't know if the person who had been running Impact was not there. And whoever used to run TNA before that, Impact Wrestling, who loved doing this, was running it now. And he says, you know what? The guy that's doing this ain't here today. Guess what? We're doing it my way. We're going to do zoom-ins. We're going to do this with the camera. I want zooms. The guy who's not here, he ain't here. I'm going to do it the way I want. That is what we got. That is what we got. The majority of that match was hard to watch. It angered me because I want to see what they're doing. But if they're zooming in so close and you can't even see their feet or what they're doing when they want to show it, hell, when you had 9 elbow drops from Nick, guess what they were doing? Before the cameraman left, before the other one disappeared, the cameraman, if I'm right, the cameraman had not left yet. When Nick started doing his elbow drops. Instead of him switching to the cameraman there on the left side, and then he moved to the end of the ring, guess what? There was nothing. Now, it's a good possibility he was already gone. But I'm like, why didn't you just go to the hard cam or the overhead cam to compensate? No. They just had the camera guy, the big ass guy with the red hair, big chubby ass man, probably more chubby than my ass, zoomed in on Nick Nimitz's back and ass. I am dumbfounded why this happened. If anybody says, dude, you're wrong, fuck that shit. I am not wrong. You don't want to accept I'm right. I've been saying it for a while. What has TNA done differently than Impact Wrestling did? Nothing. It doesn't make a difference how many sellouts they do. Look, the match itself was great. I loved the match. Seeing that it was 3-2, Nick won. And it was a heartfelt match. I loved how both of them worked together. I hope they do it again at Bound for Glory. I want to see them do it again. Seeing that Josh had to pull something out of his trunks to nail Nick just to get 2 pins on him because Nick managed to get 2 pins on Josh. He refused to quit. I'm fine with. Josh did what he had to do as a damn heel, wanting to become the flag bearer again. I'm fine with that. But if we're talking the truth here, 100% the truth, what is different about TNA compared to the old Impact Wrestling? What is different? This isn't the fault of the wrestlers and how hard they wrestle. This isn't their fault. It's management. Management hasn't done anything new, and it doesn't matter what the hell you say. I'm going to say it again. It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't make a damn difference how many places they sell out. What do you see on television? Remember, the people at the arenas, they get it great. They can watch and get whatever the hell they want. We still get it at home. We're still getting it here. And if you can't accept the fact that TNA has not changed, and that what you just saw is an example of things haven't changed. TNA may be getting a rub from NXT, but they still have to get it done. And as much as people want to say, well, they're getting so many people coming to the venues, well, guess what? The people at home are not benefiting it. And I'm literally botching here and I'm getting myself angry. It's sad to see this. I hate it. I want to see TNA succeed. I want to see them do more. They could have gone live months ago. Live. They could have done live shows months ago. They could have mixed between live shows and tape shows. They refused to do it. Why? They don't want to spend money. And hearing they're going to do it in 2025, I'll see when I believe it. And if they do, hopefully they do, they'll do it constantly, not maybe once every 3 or 4 months. The show itself was not bad. Many of the matches were fine. I kind of don't know why PCO was even on the show. He should have done this in Impact. He should have had the main event. Because if you want to make the Digital Media Championship mean something with the International Heavyweight Championship, which still doesn't have a name on the damn website, you should have done it on Impact. You could have had the first match with Kaz and Kushida be the only match there, and you could have done more advertisement. But it's just me. Peace.